What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today, we'll be chatting with Mike Richman from Locked On Blazers to figure out, are the retooled Blazers in a position to make some noise in the West this season? Is Damian Lillard finally healthy this year? Are the reinforcements in Portland enough? Gary Payton II, Jerami Grant, Anfernee Simons, Jusuf Nurkic. What can the Blazers accomplish this season? Will Shaedon Sharpe play a role? We're going to get there after a quick message from my friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your football betting and info this season. Find out the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every single game that you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every single sport out there. That's right, they've got you covered for MLB postseason. NBA is right around the corner. They've got you for all your fighting odds, UFC, MMA, boxing, you name it. They've got you covered over at BetOnline. Right now, you can run over to BetOnline to take a look at who the odds-on favorites are for the NBA championship this season. Right now, the Golden State Warriors now leading the pack at plus 575 after all the drama with the Boston Celtics, who are still in second place at plus 600. You got the Milwaukee Bucks in third at plus 700, and then rounding out the top five favorites, you got the Brooklyn Nets and the LA Clippers at plus 750 apiece. So for all of that and more odds, head over to BetOnline to learn more about the trends and action available to you. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Joining us now is Mike Richman from Locked On Blazers, who you can follow on Twitter at Mike G. Rich. Now, Mike, the Blazers, the retooled Portland Trailblazers, if you will. We'll start with Damian Lillard, because everything with the Portland Trailblazers starts with Damian Lillard. Extending Lillard this past offseason, or earlier this offseason, I should say, 2 years, $122 million extension, keeping him in Portland through the 2026-2027 season. Let's start with the fact that, look, I think that Dame and the loyalty quotes and all that is largely overplayed at this point. But on a serious note, what does it mean to have a star player like Dame who seems committed to an organization for better or for worse?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to pay him $65 million when he's 65? So, it depends on the type of fan you are. To some fans, I wholeheartly support it. It is incredibly important to have that type of loyalty in this type of market. Someone who wants to be here, someone who is very much not Clyde Drexler, right? He's not gonna peace out and go win a championship somewhere else and literally never come back. Clyde is in some major American city. I'm not sure which. Jackson, you can tell me where he landed, but.
It's a good thing I don't have a Clyde jersey behind me.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, in general, like, it's meaningful to the team to have your best player commit. I think we'll get down the line and realize paying pretty much any 36-year-old 35% of the cap is a big financial commitment. But for now, in the near term, Dame's here, baby. You might as well celebrate.
And talking about Dame, right? Where is he at health wise, right? Because that was such a big issue last season. You know, this year, are we getting the same? Are we getting 100% Dame this season?
Reportedly, yes. Right, like he says he's good to go. He said he was dealing with the sort of core injury, sports hernia thing for 4.5 years. Like, it was part of his life, and that's kind of why he delayed surgery, because in the past he had gone to camp like, my core hurts a little bit, and then averaged 28 and 7. And he's like, I'm good. Like, I'm cool. And it caught up with him. You know, he's 31 years old and it caught up with him. He was bad and then he was out. I think like that was as bad as we've seen Dame play in the league since he was a rookie. He says he's good to go. He's out there on the, on the practice court full go, and he'll be ready to be Damian Lillard again in a couple weeks here.
I want to talk about some of the kind of reinforcements here for this Blazers team, right? The addition of Jerami Grant, bringing in Gary Payton II. First off, when you look kind of now at this Blazers team as a whole, what's kind of the pecking order maybe offensively, right? Because obviously Dame eats first, right? Dame, number one option, what have you. But what's the pecking order after that, right? You've got Anfernee Simons, you've got Jerami Grant, you've got Nurkic. Like, how do you kind of order those guys, 2 through 4 there in your eyes?
Well, I've got a great podcast to recommend. It's called Locked On Blazers, where I talked about that on Monday's show. You can listen to it Monday, September 26th show, wherever you get podcasts. It's also available on YouTube. I think one of the curious things about the Blazers is that Jerami Grant is their second best player. He is just, that's what he is. but he's going to be third in usage on offense. It's going to be Damian, it's going to be Ant. And if Jerami Grant has that role, do you get as much, like, can you maximize the ask, what he's going to, because he's going to get a big ask on defense. It's curious. That is the art of coaching, right? Is like, you've got to convince a guy to be the best thing for the team when it might not be like the best. He doesn't get to spread his wings as widely as he might want to, but I think it's going to be Dame. I think it's going to be Anfernee Simons getting a whole bunch of touches. And then it's going to be some combination of Jerami Grant. And then somewhere they got to figure out a way to feed the beast and give Jusuf Nurkic some touches down low.
Now, when you look at trying to figure out, I guess, where this Blazers team kind of stacks up, right, with the rest of the Western Conference, should there be like this added level of confidence for Blazers fans, given the fact that Utah's now out of the running, San Antonio, both of those teams kind of just going full scale rebuild now? It kind of opens things up a bit more out west to where you should probably feel relatively confident that the play-in is well within reach. But where are you kind of setting the expectations for this version of this Blazers team?
Yeah, I think because of the way the bottom of the West works, with all due respect to a team in a major American city, they wear red, they got green and yellow jerseys this year as well. Like, some of those teams just suck, and they suck on purpose. A lot of the bottom half of the West is bad on purpose. San Antonio super duper pulled the plug. The floor is 11. You cannot be worse than 11 because they won't let you. Houston and OKC are going to run away and hide, and San Antonio's going to try to join them there, and Utah, so help them, Danny Ainge will get there too. Like, they want to be bad. So the floor is 11, which means you just have to get
that other 11 is scary, because the other 11, they all want to be in the playoffs.
100%. And really, it's the Kings. It's the Kings that are right there at 11. I think the Blazers are in that play-in tier with I don't even, this is mean, but like with the Lakers, who aren't very good, and along with maybe the Pelicans, but I think the Pelicans' ceiling is incredibly high. I think the sort of 2 through 7, 2 through 8 in the West is really tight. Like, there's a bunch of similarly skilled teams in that range, and the Blazers are probably in the bottom of that tier, right? They're a play-in team with upside is probably where I'd put them.
Is this Blazers team, is there another move you potentially see happening further down the pipeline, another spot in the lineup where you're just like, no, they really need to bolster this, or anybody whose name you kind of have on the Blazers radar at this point?
Well, Blazer fans want me to say Jared Vanderbilt. Legally, my listener base needs me to say Jared Vanderbilt. So y'all, Jared Vanderbilt. But in general,
Mike's just here so he doesn't get fined. He's saying Jared Vanderbilt on the national podcast so he doesn't get fined.
Y'all, exactly. Give it a listen. No, they're thin up front. Like, they're thin up front. They're going to have Jerami Grant and Justice Winslow play some minutes at center. They're going to have Nassir Little play a bunch of minutes at 4, at least at some point. They're going to have Josh Hart play some minutes at 4. Those gentlemen are not necessarily suited to play those positions. At some point, they need to add depth at that spot. How they do that is a question mark, right? Josh Hart's entering a contract year. He'll be a free agent this summer. Jerami Grant's entering contract year. He'll be a free agent this summer. But did you trade for him to let him walk or to flip him at the deadline? We'll see. Nassir Little, same, is rookie extension eligible, but again, will be entering restricted free agency this summer. They've got some parts to trade. They got some young guys at the end of the bench that maybe are sweeteners in those types of trades, like a Keon Johnson. But the idea, I don't know that they have like an obvious, other than Vanderbilt in Utah, who a lot of people are going to chase. I don't know if there's an obvious need for them, but they need taller people. They could use a few taller folks on the roster.
I was kind of upset because we didn't get a chance to chat about him back during Summer League, because his Summer League was cut just atrociously short. But Shaedon Sharpe, right? He had a lot of buzz, a lot of hype coming out of the NBA draft, managed to fall to the Blazers at pick number 7. There was a lot of speculation about what was going to happen with that 7th pick, right? Do the Blazers actually make the selection? Do they package it? Do they trade it? Do they flip it and try to continue to bolster that lineup around Dame for another, kind of the retooled roster look? So what happens with Shaedon Sharpe, right? Can he contribute right away? Is he even ready to contribute at a high level right away?
Great question, answered on today's Locked On Blazers. No, Shaedon Sharpe.
Shameless plugs left and right.
Listen, you don't invite me on the show if you don't want to plug the pod. Like Sharpe, they want him to play. The Blazers' top 7 is kind of set in stone. Damian Lillard, Anfernee Simons, Nassir Little, Jerami Grant, Jusuf Nurkic, Josh Hart, and Gary Payton II. That's it. That's 7 dudes who are going to play every single night. We're talking 8, 9, 10. Chauncey Billups has mostly played 10 guys as a head coach, so we're talking 8, 9, 10. I think 8 is Justice Winslow. I think 9 is Trendon Watford. So we're talking about the 10th man, and that spot is absolutely open for Shaedon Sharpe if this team is committed to go small. They want him to play. Every time you hear them talk in the media, Chauncey Billups on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson kind of just unprompted said how good Shaedon Sharpe was. In an interview Damian Lillard did, he kind of unprompted said how good Shaedon Sharpe was. The team likes him, but he's 19, and it's hard to be both really good and get a lot of minutes for a 19-year-old. If he's ready, they hope he can contribute, and he'll be someone Jonathan Kuminga style who will try to be a 19-year-old who plays on a good team. Maybe not that good of a team, but like they want him to be a contributor if he's capable. But they are a team that wants to make the playoffs, so they're trying to sort of navigate two paths.
Is Damian Lillard ready for a healthy bounce back season this year? Are the backups in Portland enough? The reinforcements, if you will. You're going to have us covered for all of that and more over at, where was it again, Mike, that you have us covered for that at?
It is at Locked On Blazers, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube.
I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me, Mike.
Thanks for having me.